But the officer now stays the course after he understands that Dr. Gates lives at the home. And he allowed himself to be drawn into an emotional spat with Dr. Gates. The officer gets a D- because the officer knows better. Not only does he know better, but he was trained better. He knows that you can't go with the flow when somebody's upset with you, calling you names or accusing you of being racist or whatever. And then both of these intelligent, professional men allow themselves to get into a spat, confusion and conflict, mouthing situation, argument, debate. Both of them allowed themselves to be reduced down to the least common denominator of disrespectful to themselves and each other. Both of them get a D right along in here. Attitude, actions, behavior, D. That's like don't, do. Okay. And then comes the arrest. Then comes the arrest. Officer Crowley gets an F. A flat-out F for falsely arrested, falsely arrested, falsely arrested Dr. Henry Louis Gates, Jr. The support that Sergeant Crowley is getting from the National FOP and all of his buddies, colleagues, is expected. Police officers have pretty much worked themselves into a subculture in this society, and many of them are caught up in a us versus they perception. And whenever the outside forces zero a target in on one of them, most always they're going to come together. FOP is doing exactly what is expected to do. They will support the officer probably if he had done some serious damage to Dr. Gates. And that's not appropriate. National Black Police Association gets high grades from me because they know that sometimes, I don't care how good a police officer is, he's going to have bad days or she's going to have bad days. And they know that police officers work in a green zone a lot of times, and everything they do is okay. But they also know that officers work in a gray zone a lot, making split-second decisions, calling shots without all the facts. And it's that gray area that so many mistakes are made. So the Black Police Association took the position in this situation that Sergeant Crowley should have never arrested Dr. Gates. And I agree. Should there be an apology between these men? No, I don't think it's necessary. It's not necessary, but I tell you what is necessary. A conversation between them is necessary. Yeah. Who's right and who's wrong at this point? Satisfies what the president talked about, a teachable opportunity. So that instead of Sergeant Crowley teaching racial profiling the way that he has been accustomed to doing it, that he get a 21st century model to teach from. And let his wrongful behavior be a part of his change of attitude and growth and development in order to be able to use his own experience to show other officers how it's not done. Apologies? No. Conversation? Yes. President is talking about bringing them to the White House. I never heard the president say anything about a beer, but the media is trying to reduce this thing to a jive time invitation, and they're talking about the president inviting these two men to the White House for a beer. Mr. President, I suggest that the beer be left out of it, and that you bring these men to the White House in front of a drawing board, and you have them sit down and map out what role they played in this mess that they created. And then once they identify their role, come to grips with their role, good, bad, and ugly, well then they sit down and try and put together a format for a future racial profiling, arrest legally, illegally kind of concept, and then put it in the form of a teachable document and have it taught to police officers throughout this nation. And it's at that point that this whole situation can be suitably labeled a blessing in disguise from God.